Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
So some of you know that I have been introducing the Shabbat service with a song called Gather Round. And I need an intention to bring forth in this song. Hope, faith, peace. I need your help. Who's got an intention for Shabbat tonight? Hope? Gather round, gather round, gather round in hope. Here we all are together in hope. Gather round, gather round, gather round in hope. Here we all are together in hope. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Do we have another intention for tonight? Peace. Gather round, gather round, gather round in peace. Here we all are together in peace. Gather round, gather round, gather round in peace. Here we all are together in peace. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. All right, last one. Who else has an intention?
You said it.
Joy, gather.
That's joy.
Gather round, gather round, gather round in joy. Here we all are together in joy. Gather round, gather round, gather round in joy. Here we all are together in joy. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. It's always great to have you helping out, Angie. Is that going to be on the new record? No, yes?
It is.
That is. Angie's going to be recording in mid-August. All of these pieces she's written on, I don't know, I say album, but I'm the only person left who puts CDs in his car.
No, it's called an album.
It's called an album?
Yes.
Or an MP3, but not a CD.
Unlikely.
That's time. You can't do that. That's like VHS. You can't say that, but you can say album. So that's great. So we're excited because we had a cafe night last year, and she sang a number of these, and now through all the effort, we're just about there to record that, and maybe we'll have to do a kickoff when it's ready again. So it's wonderful to have you here. Ashton Finkelstein's bar mitzvah is in the middle of September. Still lots of time. Remember, I haven't started my holiday sermons yet, so it's good. We're going to start working on your speech, and he's going to help lead a couple prayers tonight, getting ready for his bar mitzvah. We're really glad to have you here, and we're all waving a future mazel tov to Alice. And also, of course, we have, it keeps throwing me off. We have Mike Appleton, next president, but he's wearing his mom's tag, which is wonderful. So I keep wanting to say Louise, but Louise, Shabbat Shalom, if you're watching, your son on the Bima, and Robert Simon, our president. We have a number of guests tonight, and so they're probably sitting here, well, who's a guest and who isn't. So I think it's a good time to stop and first take a Shabbat breath. Didn't sound like a breath. And kind of look around and say hello to people you don't know and welcome Shabbat that way. Or people you know. You can also say Shabbat Shalom to people you know.
Ashton, I know you. Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom. It's really good to have you here with us on this Friday night, kind of smack in the middle of July. And there's lots we could give thanks for. Nobody really gave thanks to a cooler than last year's summer so far, because they're probably afraid to jinx it. But you know, for a Texas summer so far, We're doing okay. And it's just wonderful to have you here with us in this place on this Shabbat. And it's great to be back with you here in the middle of summer. There is a lot going on right now. A lot in the country, a lot that could stress us out. But I don't want to speak about that tonight. I want to speak about the fact that I had a 10-day break from all of it. My cell phone was on. I was not out of reach. I could check the news, and in fact, every time I checked the news, the tightness in my shoulders returned. But I was just for 10 days at Green Family Camp, 2 hours south of this temple, where 300 campers and over 100 counselors and staff created a sanctuary of summer Jewish celebration. Each morning at Green Family Camp, we walked through the grassy field to join all the other campers at the flagpoles, where they would sing Hatikva and the Star-Spangled Banner or the Pledge of Allegiance. And the camp educator, Rabbi Todd, would share at least one bad dad joke for the day. And then we would all go into the dining hall, the Chadar Ochel, where just imagine 400 people would join in the blessing over bread, the motzi. And then over the course of these meals, punctuated by 400 loud voices running between the salad bar and the juice bar and the food bar, and then joining in Birkat HaMazon, the blessing after eating. And all that noise and all that energy and all that singing, Hebrew and English and Jewish songs, kids zipping down zip lines, swimming at free swim, playing sports, drama, dancing. And then on Friday night, when every single camper was dressed in white, and a line of song leaders would move from cabin to cabin, and at each cabin, 10 or 20 more students dressed in white would join us, till we got to the dining hall with 400 people singing Shabbat Shalom. And then later, at services with the setting sun, overlooking the lake and welcoming Shabbat into our presence. A Jewish summer camp for sure, but not necessarily Jewish because every moment was Jewish. The kids weren't praying every second, but they were living an immersive Jewish life. They were living Jewish time, where Jewish experience was as matter of fact as brushing your teeth or getting dressed. And most of all, I was more aware than usual, because of the last weeks, that there was no 24-hour news, no rally, no violence, no bombings, no overseas events. And every once in a while I would check my phone for the volatile news of the last week and a half, and I became so very aware of the realization that these campers and counselors were getting a sacred break. A Shabbat that lasted not 24 hours, but 10 days. Or for some of them, 3 weeks. Not an abdication of responsibility, but an acknowledgement that every healthy human soul needs moments of healing and holiness and joy. To be at camp is to be constantly aware of the wonder in every moment. It's hot, it's loud, at times it's a little physically exhausting. You find out what kind of shape you're in. Your step monitor on your phone is off the charts. And yet amongst all of that, there is wonder in every moment and in every second. The mundane is suffused with awe. One night, Steve Dahlm, a temple educator from Houston, and Steve wouldn't love me saying this, but he's at camp, he's not watching. One of the few people at camp who is older than I am, even if only by a few months, tapped me on the shoulder in the dining hall and said, "You've got to come outside with me." "Steve, what are you, it's the end of the day. You've got to come outside." And there in this amazingly, completely cloudless sky, with clear and twinkling stars, brighter than you would ever see in the light of Fort Worth, he pointed to the east and he said, "See that dot?" Yes, after a moment I saw the dot, a little bit closer than the others. He said, "That's the space station." Now, in fairness, it didn't really look like the space station. It looked like a dot, but it was moving faster and was closer than all of the other stars. And we watched for about 2 minutes as this dot went across the sky. I said, what is it like in Dallas now? And he pulled up his phone, and he went, no, right now it's in Georgia. There it was. How could that be? The entire Texas sky. I would never have seen it here. It wouldn't have been dark enough. And more importantly, I would not have had someone next to me tapping me on the shoulder, pulling me out of my dinner dining hall to pause and look at a blank sky filled with wonder. We have these same moments here in Fort Worth, these moments of amazement, but we don't always know they're happening, even as the awesomeness is all around us. There was one camp experience, unfortunately, I missed, and that was my ritual of telling children about talking donkeys. You see, the Torah portion, Balak, occurs more often than not when I'm at camp. And if you want to engage young children, there's no better Torah portion than the story of a talking donkey. And yet it's a friendly reminder that our Torah portion cycle is based on lunar readings, while our camp schedule is based on the very secular Gregorian American calendar. So last week it was one of those rare weeks where I was at camp and I had to talk about things other than a talking donkey and the Torah portion, Balak. Some other Jewish educator gets it this Shabbat. And for those of you less familiar with the story, the Jews are wandering through the desert, warring with nations, making peace with others, and Balak, the king in the desert, will have none of this. And rather than meet with the Israelites, he thinks a curse is the way to go. He hires a non-Jewish prophet named Balaam, an idol worshiper, and he says, I want you to go to a mountain and curse the Jews. And this reluctant prophet refuses, but he's nudged and nudged and nudged and nudged, and he's offered gold and money. He finally goes on his way to bless the Jews. His path is blocked by a fiery angel, but he doesn't see it. The prophet doesn't see it. That's the joke. The man of God doesn't see it, but the donkey of God does. And being a smart donkey of God, it won't move. And he kicks the donkey and hits the donkey and screams at the donkey. And finally the donkey says, hey, there's a fiery angel right here. I've never led you astray before. Why do you keep kicking me? Now, there are three at least potentially amazing things in this Torah portion. One, the fact that the story is even in the Torah is pretty amazing. Two, a donkey speaks is pretty amazing. But three, the fact that the prophet doesn't miss a beat. I guess he lives in a time of such disillusion or wonders that he hears talking donkeys every day. But rather than saying, wow, my donkey is talking to me, he says, hey, how did I know there was an angel there? And the donkey says, have I ever led you astray? Maybe there's a good reason I wasn't going. And then he suddenly sees the angel. He climbs to 3 mountains. He offers 3 different prayers. Each time he either curses Balak or he praises the Jewish people. And on the 3rd and final mountain, he says, Ma tovu o'alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How beautiful, how great, how good, how awesome are your tents, are your wonders, are your places, O Israel, O Jacob. As he looks down from the mountain and sees the Israelite tents below him. So what do we got? We've got the story of an angry king. We've got the story of a reluctant gun-for-hire prophet who offers blessings and cursings to the highest bidder. And we have a donkey sharing the word of God. But we have something else. We have a moment of amazement and transformation when this non-Jewish prophet acknowledges he can't control the words that come out of his mouth. But there's one more thing, because these words become the first words of Jewish prayer. These words are chosen to open the daily morning service. Now, some of us are not as familiar with the daily morning service. In general, Reform Judaism emphasizes the evening service, unless the mornings when we have a young man or woman becoming B'nai Mitzvah. And it's understandable with our crazy schedules, Friday night is easier than Saturday morning, but we lose out on a whole section of incredible morning prayers. In fact, some people would say that the early morning prayers are among the most beautiful in all of Jewish liturgy, because these prayers speak of awareness of sight, awareness of sound, awareness of taste and touch, awareness of the beating of our hearts and the movement of our soul. These morning prayers ask us to take nothing for granted, to suddenly realize even waking up is nothing less than a miracle. The first of these prayers that Jews arrive in synagogue and say as they are preparing is Ma Tovu, the words offered by the prophet. Now let's think about that for a moment. As Jews are in a synagogue putting on their talitot, their prayer shawls, every morning, they are saying Ma Tovu. They're singing those prayer words. Words that are first offered by a non-Jewish idolatrous prophet, out of whose mouth comes these words of blessing, because he's shocked into action by a talking donkey. The rabbis could have chosen a lot of other things, but they picked this to open our prayers of awe and thanksgiving. We could spend more time talking about the shift from Saturday morning to Friday night in the Reform worship canon. And even though this occurred for a very logical reason, it was much easier for grandparents and great-grandparents, immigrants, to pray together on Friday nights than on Saturday mornings when they had to go to work. That's where that change occurred in Reform worship decades ago, 60, 80, 100 years ago. What we lost is an awareness of these prayers. And it might just be that maybe later in the summer we'll look at a few more of those prayers. But I want us to just pause for a moment and think about this prayer of awe that is said by hundreds of Jewish camping children in the morning. This prayer that was said daily in so many synagogues, and there are a lot of theories why. They're theories. They're stories when we don't really know why the rabbi picked it. One story that says there are 10 words in the second verse because 10 people make up a prayer minyan. It's a nice story. A better story is that all of these Jews putting on their white talitot, I know mine's not white, but imagine all these white talitot while we're saying Ma Tovu was like Balaam looking down at all the tents of all the Israelites below on their way to the land of Israel. And whatever the reason, this opening prayer reminds us of miracles, that every blade of grass, every singing student, the wind, the sun, the space station, actually it was going this way, that I would have been oblivious to in Fort Worth are there. Just as this Shabbat asks us to take a break, the break of the noise, the break of the violence, the break from the disagreements, to enter a moment of calm, a moment that is brought forth because of a talking donkey as a messenger of God. Some of us are going to go home now and turn to our dogs and cats. Do you have anything to say to me this week? The wonder of the sunrise and the sunset that was happening and happens every day, even when we don't notice it. Even in our hardest moments, we can take moments because there are miracles at every moment. The miracle of this Shabbat, the miracle of this beautiful garden to my left, the miracle of walking through camp dressed in white, the miracle of a talking donkey or an awe-struck prophet. So we're going to cheat a little tonight. We're going to say a morning prayer in the evening. People will forgive us. You can find that prayer on page 192. And this is where I mentioned that if you've got a full Shabbat booklet, it's on 192. And if you have one of the thinner prayer books, it's in brackets on 192.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma tovu. Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Vani berov chastecha avo veitecha eshtachave el hechal kodshecha beiratecha ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael.
And now we flip back. You can find the blessing for Shabbat candles if you need them on page 120. And we're going to invite you, if you wish, to come light one of the tea candles on the far left. See your left, my right. If you'd like to do so, as we join together, and actually as we're doing it, we'll be joining in Shalom Aleichem. And then we'll continue with the blessing over the lighting of Shabbat candles. So please feel free if you wish.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 124, as we continue through Kabbalat Shabbat, letting go. And as I said, letting go doesn't mean that we abdicate our responsibility. So whatever your persuasion, whatever your views, there's one thing this summer is making clear. That creating a place where all feel welcome is going to take everybody's word. Whatever you believe, whatever you think. So let's look at a prayer that sometimes I'm going to admit I just read. And over the last few weeks I went, oh, these words really matter. What are we going to do in the next year as a community, whatever the challenges, to make these words ring true? And, forget responsive. Let's read these words together at the bottom of page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who are hungry for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and meaningful life. Page 138, we welcome Shabbat in our midst, and even as we join in the first, second, fifth, and ninth stanzas, when we get to the last one, if you're visiting, you'll see a whole bunch of people stand up and look at you. That's not what they're doing. They're going to be facing the back of the synagogue, the direction of the setting sun, to welcome Shabbat into our midst. 1
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechuvenelcha ki mekor haberaka merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh v'machal batila lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela hitoreri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi bevod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uve'tzola toch emunei nam segula boi chala lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Since you're already up, if you're able, you can stay up. Page 144, the Chatzi Kaddish moves us into the Baruch Hu, the Shema, and the next section of our service.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayetecho beit Yisrael bagala uvizman V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemed Kodesha B'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'alma v'yimeru Amen. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
If you are physically able, feel free to remain standing through Shema as we read together at the top of page 149. Praise to
You, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide and time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ariv arabim. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu u'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki heim chayenu ve'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam belayla nege yomam belayla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever
and ever. You may be seated. V'yechavta et Adonai Elohecha
bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha v'hayu hakarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech u'shokbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'taftam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem lekol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem
אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 157, we read together at the top of the page, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. There is a better place, promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands
and marching together. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha, bokei al yam lifnei Moshe Miriam, Zeli anu ve'amru, Zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Then nehemar kifat Adonai et Yaakov, Galo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom ve'hamidenu Shomreinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom ve'hamidenu Shomreinu l'chaim. Cause us to lie down in perfect peace and raise us up to life. Spread your tent of peace over us and keep us safe tonight. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom ve'hamidenu Shomreinu l'chaim. Ve'hamidenu Shomreinu l'chaim.
Page 163, together at the bottom. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, enjoying the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song, silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. We join together for the first few prayers and then can continue on our own. At that point, standing or seated, the words in the book, the words in our heart, silent or read, but first together. page 164. We rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur V'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah Rav leHoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Acceptable to you, Adonai, 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 Tzuri v'goali.
we turn to page 371 and offer prayers for healing. We think of all those in need of strength and healing, and we mentioned this is the 30th anniversary of the bombing of the Association Mutual Israel of Argentina, the Jewish Argentinian Community Center. And while there were 85 Jews and non-Jews killed in that attack, that Hezbollah, Iran-backed bombing in Argentina, we acknowledge at this point in the service that there were many, many, many hundreds and thousands more who did not die, but whose lives were also broken and permanently scarred by those events. And so while we will think of them at the Kaddish, we mention that here now at the prayer for healing, knowing the pain that that event still brings to that Jewish community. In addition, for our prayers, we also mention the names of Orion Driscoll, Mina Devorah Bat Ruth Yaakov, mother of Barry Abels, Cindy Love, Sean Rubin, David Rahib, Sue Lurie, Judy Kotler Goldberg, Leslie Arnov, Alan Feinberg, Hans Grimm, Stephanie Smith, Bob Lewis, Jackie Brow, George Berger, Arnie Pell, Kevin Lehrer, John Freed, Steve Nathan, Sharon Brenner, Irv Rubinson, Susan Schultz, Gordon Brody, Barbara Leffer, Ann Westerman, Jeannie Rosenblum, Christopher Long, and any names you might wish to add at this time for those in need of healing and strength. Mishaberach, may the source of strength bring strength to them, to those who love them, to those who take care of them, to all who watch over them, their caregivers, doctors and nurses. We pray for healing if healing is not possible. We pray they will find the courage and strength, love to face what lies ahead as we join together.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn to page 586. We rise before the open ark for Elena.
Aleinu l'shaber kladon hakol, lateit gedula leotzer reshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot,
As we turn to page 598, we think of summers past. Perhaps recently, perhaps farther back, perhaps all the way to our childhood. Memories of family members, picnics, celebrations together, warm and with the hue of nostalgia, or in some cases, perhaps still raw and rough from illnesses, words unsaid, diseases, debilitating losses. Those memories as they come back to us with different shades and memories, summers gone by, lives that have passed, that still take hold in our memories in the sights and smells of summer. We think of those who are no longer with us, and if you're comfortable and able, as is our custom, you may rise when you hear their names. Those who passed in the 30-day period of mourning, known as Shloshim. We mentioned Susie Kornblit Rosenberg. We mentioned Stephanie Posner. We mentioned Debbie Rice. We also add the names of those whose yahrzeits, the anniversaries of their deaths, are observed this week. Stephen Allen, Abraham Antwal, Helene Baginski, Helen Bresser, Matilda Rosenbaum-Karb, Gabriel Cohen, Florence Cohen, Nathan Ecker, Sarah Feit, Elizabeth Finkel, Lena Jeannie Fleischman, William Friedman, Morris Hendelman, Rudy Kemp, Lena Clark, Pauline Claire Levy, Anita Klein, Ben Label, Pearl Brown Lynette, Roger Mass, Sarah Nuremberg, Yetta G. Parker, Arthur Pritchard, Rose Raphael, Albert M. Rosenfield, Seaman Rubinson, Rochelle Sachs, Rolly Schur, Marvin Schuster, Mary Levine Schwartz, Sylvan Schwartz, Bibi Schwartz, Rose Tiras, Alan Van Netta, William E. Waynshanker, Richard Weisberg, Anna N. Wolfson. If we have anyone visiting the congregation tonight that is observing a yahrzeit this week, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, you can mention it now. We all, yes, please. We all rise to offer strength to those who are in mourning, and for all who have none to say Kaddish for them but us. We join together. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, B'yalma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chai echon v'yom echon, Chai d'chol Beit Yisrael, B'galal v'zman karim v'imru Amen. Yeh Shmei Rabbah M'varach Le'olam L'amei Maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yital shmeid kudsha b'richu le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Hey shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Say shalom b'mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'yal Kol Yisrael, Imru Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be a blessing to us always. Please be seated. We join together.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
would join in Kiddush and Motzi, the blessing over bread, the blessing over the sweetness of the Shabbat day. And we invite up anyone who's not yet had their bar or bar mitzvah. And if the person who's not old enough to have their bar or bar mitzvah needs someone to carry them up, that's okay too if they've already had their bar or bar mitzvah. Join together. We have a lot of grape juice. Here we go. Feel free. Yep. Drink it there. And here we go. All right.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu bacharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat koshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
Chaim. And we'll join together in the blessing over bread. And then if you want to pull at it, feel free. It'll come through the congregation. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat filled with shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.